If you're looking to become more athletic, you need to train in order to unlock your athletic potential, which requires you to have multiple disciplines and multiple goals of training throughout your training periods, because you are not just like everyone else. Athletes require a huge amount of force, power, speed, agility, everything that is required for your sport, or whether it be on the field or on the mat. All athletes tend to have the same core concepts that they need to develop in order to be more successful. And I'm going to get right into it. So my name is Nick Lyden. I'm a certified strength and conditioning coach. I have my master's in kinesiology, and let's start talking about it. Also, I'm the owner of the Peak Performance Program. Let's get into it. Okay. So the key pillars of training that you need to have in your training cycle. Now, we don't always just train one of these or another. There is a blend across your training cycles, but we want to be focusing on a few of them and have some more as accessories. There should be touch points throughout all of it. And these key pillars are your strength, power, speed, agility, conditioning, and then your mobility, stability, and coordination overall. All of these together, when trained, will improve what every athlete is after, which is going to be more powerful, more explosive. They all work together to make you a better athlete. So let's get into it. So the first pillar that everyone should be starting off with, if you have a lack in this area, you need to start here. And typically I start most of our training cycles with a foundational and a strength period, where that's one of our primary goals as we work on the other aspects to help prepare us in order to become more powerful, more explosive, and get more athletic. So within strength, we have the basic lifts that we are trying to do, because all we are after is maximal or absolute force production. Okay, so think of this as your squats, your deadlifts, RDLs, bench. Okay, don't really care about how fast the bar is moving. We care about how much weight we are adding over and over and over again in order to make our muscles adapt to be able to produce more force and have a greater amount of muscles that we can recruit at one point. The next pillar is power, and a lot of people mess power up. They think it's either just lifting super heavy weights and kind of moving it as fast as they can, or they think it's just on the other end of the spectrum where it's a bunch of just plyometrics. It's a mix of everything. Okay, power lies on a spectrum because power is force times velocity. And if you look at the force velocity curve, which basically goes through where power is created, there's strength, then there's strength speed, then there's peak power, speed strength, and then maximal velocity or overspeed. So when we're producing power, we want to go through a spectrum of that. Now within power, okay, there's a couple of nuances that we really are trying to develop, which is our amortization phase. Our amortization phase is when our body goes from an eccentric to a concentric action. And our goal is going to be to shorten that period and shorten how long that takes, because that's where we're going to get that quick twitch, kind of very fast change in our body movement to make us more explosive. And with power training, we are largely developing our central nervous system. So how quickly we can send a signal to our muscle and how much muscles we can recruit instantly in order to be more explosive and be more powerful. Now, there's a lot of different things you can do. There's med balls. There's, med balls are great. Kettlebell type swings, right? There's Olympic lift variations. Power is going to come and lie on a spectrum, and we should be doing a multiple different things to develop that power in different planes of movement. Our body has many different planes of movement. It has our frontal, which is side to side, our sagittal up and down, and then we have our rotational. And as athletes, we need all of those. The next pillar is speed. So many athletes think that they can just be in the gym, only doing things in the gym, and their speed will increase. That is not the case. You need to get out on the field. We need to work your top velocity or max miles per hour. We need to work your acceleration. And with acceleration is largely dependent on how much power you can produce. So you can see how these are kind of linking together, right? There's your elastic strength. So elastic strength comes down to your tendon's ability to transfer force through your body. So all the power and all the force that you create through your muscles. For us, and a lot of athletes, we're transferring that into the floor or into the ground with our feet. And the last part that it has to all transfer through is through those tendons and feet. So we need to strengthen those. And then there's your overall mechanics with how you are running as well for each the acceleration or drive phase, and then your transition, and then your top speed. Now, the next one is agility. Agility is super critical for field sport athletes or anyone who needs to be actually like really agile left to right. A lot of boxers, right? MMA type people need to be moving around a lot, and they need to be able to change direction quickly. And with change of direction, there's a deceleration or force absorption period. So back to that amortization phase, right? And then it's a change of direction and then a re-acceleration of the body. And body positioning and footwork is super critical within this. And you need to make sure that you are training your agility overall. Now, there's different ways with different cone drills that you can do that are a little bit more predetermined, that'll help you with some of the footwork and change of direction. And then as agility, as in sports, right, it's chaotic, right? So there needs to be an element where you're reacting off a sound, off a sight, and those are a little bit more advanced, but that is going to give you that true agility and that reaction time that you're looking for. Now, the next one, so many athletes get this wrong, and it's upsetting to me, and that is your conditioning. Conditioning, you don't really realize like through training, like, oh, I don't need to condition, right? Until you get into the sport. And your conditioning is kind of the gatekeeper to how much repeat power and how well you can perform later on during your competition. And our body has 3 different energy systems. So it has our alactic or creatine phosphate. That's like 0 to 10 seconds, 100% effort. You're going, balls to the wall, right? Then there's our glycolytic system, which is right after that, still super high intensity, maybe up to 75 to 85, maybe 90% of max intensity. And that's anywhere from basically as soon as the alactic system stops, the glycolytic system will start to take over and run to about 90-ish seconds. It really depends, but that's kind of about the average, which is you use carbs for that primary source, so make sure you're fueling your body, okay? That's where most of our athletes are going to be. Okay. We're going to have a lot of bouts of short duration exercise and then recover from that and then need to go back into it again to repeat power. Okay. Now, the last system is our aerobic system. It's called beta oxidation. Think of this as like your marathon runner. It's that slow, steady state, like 50%, right? And you're just going forever. Now, aerobic fitness is important to kind of build a base a little bit for yourself, but majority of our time should be spent in the anaerobic system and training that system, because there is a huge crossover in improving your VO2 max when you train high intensity and recover to have a greater aerobic fitness. Okay, so you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, you still can do some longer runs, but I would really keep it minimal because it's not going to have as big of a transfer and potential support you in your sport as, say, doing some more high intensity interval type training that will work the actual energy systems that you're using in your sport. And the last one that ties this all together is your mobility, coordination, and balancing. Okay. So mobility, think of like range of motion under tension. Okay. So if we can get our body into greater ranges of motion and still be able to produce strength and power in those positions, we will have a better opportunity to allow us to be in better position to produce more power, be more explosive. With coordination, that comes down to your muscle firing sequencing. So how your body kind of links its muscle contractions together to produce the most amount of force. And then in this, there's, contract relaxability. So that's a little bit back to the amortization phase a little bit, and being able to produce force, relax, so you can get a high speed and high velocity for your limbs. And then proprioception and motor control and awareness, right? Like knowing where your body is at in space, knowing where your feet are at when you're trying to make a cut. All of these things are going to work together in order to help you perform better and be at your best. So these are the 6 pillars of training that you should be hitting throughout your training cycle. Definitely recommend you start with some strength, mobility, coordination, touches of conditioning, because that should always be in there. And then you slowly start to transfer into strength, power, and then more high velocity movements. And if you want to implement training like this and have it completely dialed in for you, all system out, go ahead and click the link below. I have a strategy session where you can hop on a call with me, and I will go through about how we can start to implement this for you in order to make you a better athlete and unlock your athletic potential. And if you enjoyed this video and this was eye-opening to you and you got some value out of this, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, make sure to drop them below. I'll be going through and answering them throughout every time someone posts. So, and if you have any videos that you specifically want me to do and break down, please let me know. Other than that, I will see you in the next video.